Hey everybody, Invisiblekatana here doing a full review for Black Panther. This will be spoiler free for the first couple minutes, as the title suggests. Spoilers will be in the second part or half. I always put second half, but it'll just be after a couple minutes. I saw the movie on Thursday night. It was at like 10:45, so I was like dead tired by the time I got out of it because I get up at 6 now to go to work. But it was fun. It was definitely a fun movie. I got to see it the second time because I was so tired. It was one of those moments where it's like when you're driving and you kind of snap out of kind of just autopilot and you're like, did I stop at all the red lights? It was one of those situations. Like, I remember everything that happened. I was just like, I feel like I need to see it a second time to kind of just fully register every single thing. So starting off with what I really loved, the first thing I noticed that, and it wasn't something that I ever thought about kind of going into. It was like, I know it's going to be there, but the costume design was great in this movie. It was like, I already knew, the Black Panther outfit looked really cool. We'd seen some of T'Challa stuff because of the trailers, of course, the different outfits he was going to have. And I was like, well, that's pretty sweet. But I didn't realize they would have so many different costumes for pretty much all the characters. Like, everyone has a couple of costumes, except for maybe Killmonger. I think he's the only one who basically just gets the two costumes. But everyone else, and I guess Claw pretty much has one costume as well. But everyone else gets a couple of different outfits, and I was like, they all look great. Everything just looks really, really cool. It's very vibrant. Lots of different colors for the different tribes, different characters, and it just looked really, really good. So I was like, all right, that was awesome. It was kind of like my favorite thing that I wasn't expecting because it was just like, okay, I'd seen some cool costumes, like that's pretty sweet. And then, excuse me, like just as a whole, like the whole movie, it just looked really, really freaking good. So I definitely loved that. And it's one of those things when I was watching, I was like, man, if if Suicide Squad can win an Oscar or whatever it won for design and everything, I was like, Black Panther should totally do it. I don't think it would count because of however the Oscars work. I don't really know or care, but I was like, this should win because the design is just great. So I hope it wins some award at least for that. If it doesn't win for anything else, it's like it's gotta win for just the costume design and how everything looked because everything just looked good. Like it just fit for the characters. The style, the styling, everything just worked. So I really love that. As a whole, the movie was just fun. Like it's just a fun movie. Good action. Definitely love the acting. Yeah, everyone's just a great actor, but the writing was good too. The way the characters interact, the comedy was good, the drama was good. Great balance of both. That's probably one of my favorite things about it is that it had a lot of really good balance where it would be serious moments and then comedic moments and then sometimes they would blend and then sometimes it was just like a hard stop like nope, this is super serious, and then it would just be like serious done, really, really funny. So it definitely worked. In that regard, I would definitely say it's one of the best for that because it wasn't really like I wouldn't classify this as one of the really funny ones. Like Ant-Man was a comedy, like period. Black Panther, I wouldn't say it was. I'd say Black Panther, if anything, was more of a drama movie. And that was definitely something I noticed. But I enjoyed it. I like that. I thought the pacing was good, except for like maybe in the middle it dipped just a little bit, and I think that really stood out to me because of how tired I was. That's how I notice it more. Like if I'm tired, I'll really notice how much it dips because I'll legitimately start to feel a little sleepy. And I was like, okay, yeah, this is dipping a little bit in the middle here, but aside from that, it was all really well done. And even the part where it dips, it's like you're still getting these great interactions with the characters because the actors are really good, or you're learning something. So even in the chunk where it is kind of talky and stuff, it's still entertaining. So it's not like it's ever just this is just straight up boring. It's like it's never that. It's just like a little bit in the middle. It's just like a bit of a dip. But other than that, I thought it was pretty good. Other big thing I guess this pertains to action is the CG. That was a bit of an issue for a couple of different sequences. Mostly, oddly enough, the big set piece that's shown off in the trailer where they're doing like the big car chase. There are just a couple of scenes where he's doing a flip or spin like midair, and it's just like that just looks obviously CG, and it's weird because it's like it's an all black suit. It's weird that how much it stood out that it was CG, and it's at nighttime, so it's like that's what makes it even worse because it's just like it's weird how much I noticed this is CG, and it's a all black suit at night. Of course there are lights around and everything, but it's just like it's weird how much it seemed to stick out. So I thought that was odd. There's a couple other portions where obviously sometimes you just can't avoid it, but they do a good job with it. And then there's just other elements where it's like okay, that's just super CG. I'm trying. Well, I guess it's not a spoiler, but it's during this like the ceremony. There's a part where there's just a ton of people, and it's like, oh, look at all the like really clearly CG people, and that's just one of those things you got to do when it's a giant crowd of people. So it's like, okay, you obviously notice it there. Ending fight sequence, it's just big crazy set piece. For the most part, it looks good. Then there's a very specific portion, like the part that they kind of show off in the trailer where they're fighting, and it's T'Challa versus Killmonger. There's some stuff in there where it's just like, yep, that is 100% CG. Kind of looks good, kind of cool. I love specifically the sound design in that because just what they do or don't do. That's the best way I can describe it without spoilers. I just love that scene solely for that, audio wise, but visually it was like, yeah, super duper CG, not horrible, but it's like definitely noticeable CG. So that was definitely something there. As far as the first action sequence, that was an issue, and that's also in the trailers. In like the very first one, where they show him like beating up a bunch of people at night, and he's like kind of basically being a ninja, and he's jumping through the trees and stuff. That scene is hard to watch because it is a character who's dressed in all black. It's nighttime, and they don't do what most TV shows and movies do, where it's like, oh, let's pull out like somehow someone turns a flashlight on, and it's like just a giant bright light. And I kind of wish they did that in this. I normally hate that, but I was like, there's some stuff you just can't see in that first fight sequence. It's just hard to see. Or it's like, okay, I'm legitimately not 100% sure which side of the screen he even came from because it was so dark. So that was my big gripe. And, it's like the first action sequence. And it doesn't like take you out of it, but it was definitely something where I was like, oh, that kind of sucks because there's stuff that I can notice, but there's a lot of stuff where I'm like, especially because they're moving the camera during some portions of that sequence where it's just like, it's hard to see. It's a dude dressed in all black at night. Like aside from the little silver accents, it's just a jet black outfit. Like it's hard to see that thing in the middle of the night. So that was kind of my main gripe with the very first one. And then after that, all the action sequences I would say are fairly well lit enough where you can see every single bit of action, and the action is definitely great. I would say my favorite probably would be the car chase, and especially how it starts. They have some really great hand to hand stuff in the beginning of that. That's definitely some of my favorite action in the whole movie. But all in all, definitely a fun movie. I really enjoyed it. This is me officially going into the spoiler section. So if you have not seen the movie yet, it's just been everywhere you went, super sold out. Well, definitely find a way to check it out. Then you can come back and get to the spoiler section. So officially going into spoilers, I'm going to start with the villains. I like both the villains, both Claw and Killmonger. I think they're both really good villains. The one thing that I kind of hated was the fact that Claw was killed off so early in the film, and then it kind of transitioned to just Killmonger. And the main reason for that is because I really like Ulysses Claw as a character. I thought Andy Serkis was honestly like hilarious as him because he was such an insane character. So I really enjoyed him for that element, and I was kind of curious. I was like, okay, the way they kind of pace the movie is they start off, we see both the characters together during the museum sequence. It's like, okay, it's the calm segment, and we kind of get their ideas where Killmonger is this guy where he goes in, he asks all these questions, and he like poisons the woman. I was like, okay, so that's how that plays out. And then Claw comes in, he kills the guards and stuff, and he lets the one guy go, and he kills him. It's like, well, why didn't you do that? It's like, well, it makes it seem like we're amateurs because he was able to get away, or at least get further. So it's like, okay, you kind of get the ideals and how both these characters work in their serious way, and then a little bit how they're silly as well by the end of that. And I was like, all right, that's pretty cool. And then Killmonger's gone after that, and then it's just Ulysses Claw because he's the one going through with the deal with the U.S. government, and then he gets rescued, and it's like, all right, well, now I'm excited to see both of them together again because I like both their characters individually, even though we hadn't seen much of Killmonger because it legitimately just went to like, boom, it's only Ulysses Claw. So I like the way they did that because we don't really learn anything about Ulysses Claw from the other Avengers movie. It was just like, oh, that's the tie-in because that's Claw from Black Panther. So that was pretty much it. And in this, we got to really see him as a character. We got to see him, like using the arm and stuff. I was like, all right, I'm excited for how this is going to play out. Then he gets rescued, and I'm like, all right, now I'm excited to see how they go forward as like this duo villain team. They got different ideals and stuff like that. I can't wait to see how this plays out. And then it was just like, oh, well, Ulysses gets killed because he won't take Killmonger to Wakanda, and that's like the whole mission is to get to Wakanda. And Killmonger was like, all right, well, I gotta take him out, and that'll be my end because I can use him as like a peace offering to kind of get my name out there and be like, this is what's happening with me. So it totally made sense story wise. It just sucked to see it, especially knowing that Claw is such a big deal, but for the Black Panther comics. Plus, I just like the way he was acted, so it was like I assumed going through is like, oh well, of course he's not gonna die. He's gonna either escape or get arrested, do the comic book thing, and then it was like, nope, he is officially dead. He is not coming back unless they, well, Infinity War's coming out. They might bring back everybody that's ever died. Who knows? They could technically do that, but I don't know if that's gonna be big enough. But it's like, okay, well, he's officially dead. I was like, all right, I kind of didn't see that coming because he's such a big character within the comics. He's one of the main Black Panther villains, and they killed him off, and they also didn't really get to show us, personally speaking, enough of the two of them really working together. Like, I just wanted more of that because I liked how funny Claw was, and then we get to see that, the funny villain with the really serious villain. And I think, considering how well they worked together during that first portion, because we got to see how serious Claw was during that specific mission. It was like, it was kind of funny they let the guy go and he kills him, but then it's like that was a serious idea. So you see how they're both serious, and they do end up working together perfectly well. And I wanted to see a lot more of that, or at least a little bit more of that. But it was kind of just like the beginning, and then it was all Claw with no Killmonger, and then the end, and that was Claw being killed off, and kind of Killmonger kind of doing his own thing because he kills everyone else off. He kills his girlfriend when she gets held up, and then he kills Claw, and it's like, all right, well, now I'm off to do my thing. And I was like, oh, well, that kind of sucks. I wanted to see more of a duo of villains, and then maybe he either gets captured or escapes later, and then it's just Killmonger. But it was still fine. It's not like I hated it after that or anything. Killmonger was a really good villain. Great fight sequence with him versus T'Challa, and once he came in, that's when it got like kind of cliche. It answered like all my questions because I was like, okay, well, he has like the Black Panther suit, and it was like, all right, well, what's going on there? He just stole like a fancy version. He was like this Golden Jaguar. I thought they were legitimately gonna call him a different name. It was like, oh no, it's just a different suit, and it was shown off, but I didn't think of it. But they have it in the beginning of the movie where it's like, oh, do you like the silver or the gold? And I didn't even think of it like, oh, I've seen this in the trailer. That's what happens, but. It was like, all right, once he came in, it was like, oh, he's definitely going to beat T'Challa. He's going to, like, fake die, and then they're going to go through, their bit of civil unrest where it's like, oh, this is so tragic. And then, of course, he's going to come back and everything will be fine. So it was a little cliche after that because it was like, oh, I know exactly how this is going to kind of play out. And they kind of, do some of this stuff, like Daniel Kaluuya's character, Kaluuya, I believe it's he was mad about the whole Ulysses Claw thing, and then, of course, Killmonger bringing him to him, it was like, well, I'm kind of on his side now. And he was one of the people where it's like, well, let's do this. Let's send our weapons out and reveal ourselves to the rest of the world and take out all these other oppressors and kind of control everything ourselves. So, that I thought was interesting the way that was handled, especially with the way they did that, considering he was either with or married. They don't really specify it, but he's basically with the main guard of the lady. I totally forgot the name of like the actual group, but it's like, all right, well, he's with Denai Guerrero's character, and then they have to like fight towards the end. I was like, well, that's actually kind of cool. I like that idea where she was still loyal to T'Challa because she never, Killmonger comes in and is like, I'm taking over. I'm, burn all the rituals away, and he's getting rid of like all the leaves and everything. So I was like, all right, that's an interesting way to kind of handle that. Like, he's not just taking over, he's wiping away everything, and it totally makes sense. He's that villain where it's like, you're totally being a dick about it. You're doing it in the worst way, but I kind of see where you're coming from. You're technically, you want to help other people. You just want to kill the other people, but also he was wiping away stuff that didn't need to be destroyed because of the fact that he was just mad at the Wakandan kind of tradition and how that ended up making him an orphan and just all of that. So I like the way that played out. It totally made sense of why he was doing it, and he also felt like he was being the good guy. And then there were elements of it where he was just being the bad guy, like him burning away all the plants and stuff. It was like, well, you're gonna die. Like, someone has to take over. But he was doing it like, nah, as if he was gonna be immortal or something. So it was like some sides of it where it's like, I can see where you're coming from, and then other sides it was just like, nope, he's just doing it just to get rid of everything known, to Wakanda, like everything that they were used to. He was just like, nah, I want to get rid of it because I hate it all, because that made me grow up alone. So definitely saw where he was coming from. Liked him as a villain. Like I said, I like Claw as a villain as well. The fight at the end I thought was pretty cool. The scene that I mentioned where I loved the audio for it was when they first start falling and then they just cut all the music and stuff, and it's just, you just hear the punches and them grunting and stuff. I was like, that actually was kind of cool because you kind of hear the wind rustling and stuff as they're flipping and punching each other. I was like, that's actually pretty sweet. And the one thing that I was kind of hoping for at the end was when they talk about the vibranium going away. It kind of like half went away, where it was like sort of disabled. I thought it was gonna be like the suits were just gone, and it was gonna be basically T'Challa versus Killmonger again. And instead of it being like the first time when he got beat up, it would be that normal thing where it's like, all right, we're not working with the suits that are impenetrable to being stabbed and all that stuff. It was just, we're gonna fight, and that's how it's going to play out. And I thought that's what we were going to get to see. Like maybe they would go through the fight and then both rip each other's necklaces off so they wouldn't have the suits at all. I thought that would have been really, really cool. But I still enjoyed the fight scene that we got. But all in all, definitely a fun film. I definitely plan on seeing it a second time. But definitely entertaining. And, you know, we see that they're going forward. Wakanda's going to put itself out there. So I'm excited to see how that kind of rolls over into Infinity War and how much time they decide to skip. And it's like, well, look at all this insane Wakandan technology and stuff. So that should be interesting to see. Of course, you know, that was like the first stinger. The second stinger was really nothing. And it was just, you know, Bucky waking up, and that was really it. I was like, okay, well, cool. Yeah, that was legitimately it. So there's nothing to it, but definitely looking forward to Infinity War naturally. But all in all, fun movie. Definitely an entertaining movie. Can't wait to see it again. Like I said, I really hope it wins something for costume design. Oh, I mean, just it has to for that. Everything just looked really, really sweet, especially with Daniel Kaluuya's group. Like the blue, blue is my favorite color. So every time I saw them, I was like, that's like the sweetest thing ever. And then at the end, when it turns out there was actually like tech shields in the cloth, I was like, well, that's cool. I just thought they were really great looking outfits, and then they had like shields, so that was really sweet. But love the movie. Of course, we'd love to know what you guys thought about it. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, least favorite parts about it. Curious what you guys think about the Claw Killmonger thing. Like I said, for me personally, I liked them together. Even though it's such a short sequence in the beginning, I liked them together so much. I just wanted to see a lot more of that because I was like, I feel like they actually work really well as a team. They're both really deadly people, and you know, like Killmonger poisons the woman, and then Claw comes in and he takes out the guards with his buddy, and it was like, all right, they're both killers. They're both just like, boom, let's do this, let's get vibranium, let's sell it, let's make money, and they just work together so well. I was just like, I just really want that to work. I just want to see a little bit more of that. So that's really like the one thing where I was like, man, I wish they had that. I do wish that he also didn't die because I thought he acted I thought it was acted so well and such a funny character that I would have liked to have seen him come back as like just, you know, this crazy dude. But we'll see what they do with Infinity War. If they're just like, yeah, let's just bring them back, Quicksilver, sure, whatever. They'll just bring back whoever they want to with that one. But I would love to know what you guys thought about how they handled the villains and how they were kind of split up, because they really did. Like Killmonger legitimately was just gone. I thought he was going to be in the chase sequence in the cars, and I was like, oh, he's not there at all. And it kind of made sense because the whole point was for Ulysses to sell the vibranium so that they made the money. That was really the whole point. So it still just felt weird. I was like, oh, I thought he'd at least be somewhere in this because they're both the main villains. So that did kind of surprise me when they weren't both somehow involved during that car chase, and he just wasn't there until Claw went like back to the plane. I was like, oh, well, here's Killmonger again. So that was like the one little thing was like, I just kind of wish they wrote him in and he just made it out. You know, they just both made it out. But that's just me. That's how I felt about it. But we'd love to know how you guys felt about how they handled the villains, and obviously how you guys felt about the movie as a whole. So please put your comments down in the comment section below. And of course, thanks for watching.